They'll cheer when you start, but disappear when you win. You think they're rooting for you, but deep down, your ambition makes them uncomfortable, because every step forward you take reminds them of how far behind they really are. Here's a truth most won't say out loud. People secretly want you to fail, not because you're evil, not because they are, but because your rise threatens the parts of them they've buried. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the unconscious, rejected self. When you grow, you shine light on what they've neglected. You remind them of their wasted potential. And that hurts. They'll cheer for you, just enough, but go too far, move too fast, or dream too big, and suddenly they grow quiet, withdraw, mock, sabotage. It's not paranoia. It's the truth most can't admit. But you're not here to stay small for their comfort. You're here to see clearly and keep going anyway. Your job is not to be liked. It's to become whole. So listen carefully. The resistance you face from others is not a sign you're wrong. It's proof you're walking a rare path, one that demands strength, clarity, and ruthless self-ownership. This video will hurt. It's supposed to, because the truth is sharp, but it's also your sword. Let's begin. You've felt it, haven't you? That subtle shift, the forced smile, the congratulations that feel hollow. You hit a milestone, land the job, get the body, find peace, and suddenly people who once supported you start pulling away, or worse, turning on you. Why? This isn't just envy, it's older than that. It's psychological warfare, fought in silence, buried deep in the unconscious. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the dark, hidden parts of ourselves we refuse to confront. Our failures, our regrets, our rage. Most people never face their shadows. They bury them. But when you succeed, you awaken theirs. Your growth is a mirror, and mirrors, they don't lie, they expose. According to social comparison theory, we judge ourselves by measuring against others. When you rise, it doesn't just inspire them, it exposes them. Your ambition makes them ask, why haven't I done more? Your confidence makes them feel their own insecurity. And that comparison burns. You're not hurting them, you're revealing them. You didn't mean to be a threat, but now, every step forward whispers, you could have done more, but you didn't. So they punish the mirror, they distance themselves, they criticize. Or worse, they pretend not to see you at all, because your success demands they confront a self they're trying to forget. When people can't face their own darkness, they project it onto others. Jung said it clearly. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, but most won't take that path. So instead, they say you've changed, that you're arrogant, that you think you're better than them. But here's the truth. It's not about you. It's about them, their insecurities, their guilt, their shame. You just happen to be the screen they project it on. They never wanted you, just what you gave them. Comfort, familiarity, a mirror that didn't speak. And when you stop serving that, their resentment grows. Not openly. That would be honest. Instead, it comes through sarcasm, withdrawal, subtle sabotage. They'll say, don't forget where you came from. What they really mean is, don't go where I can't follow. Humans are tribal by nature. Belonging meant survival. But here's the dark side. When one person rises too far, too fast, the group feels threatened. It's not logical, it's primal. It's crabs in a bucket. One starts climbing out, and the others pull it back down, not because they hate it, but because it's leaving them. Your elevation becomes isolation. The higher you climb, the less they relate. The jokes don't land the same. The conversations feel shallow. You start to realize it's not just that they don't support you, it's that they need you to stay where you were, to make themselves feel okay. But the most dangerous betrayal, you start shrinking, just to stay loved. You dim your light. You downplay your wins. You censor your truth. All to avoid the discomfort of standing alone. But listen closely. Your light doesn't just illuminate, it casts shadows on everything they've avoided in themselves. You're being drained and don't even realize it. Every forced laugh, every humble deflection, Every win you hide, it's costing you something. They don't want you strong. They want you familiar. They don't want your fire. They want your warmth without the heat. And that's how you're slowly dying, becoming a version of yourself that's palatable but powerless. Here's where the tide turns. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop apologizing for evolving, when you stop needing them to clap for you, you win. They say you've changed. You have. You're not playing the same game anymore. You're not climbing for validation. You're ascending for truth. You're not seeking love from those who only offer tolerance. You're not here to be accepted. You're here to be authentic. That will cost you. It always does. But it will give you something far more valuable. Peace, clarity, power. You'll learn to spot the signs. When the jokes get sharper, when the silence gets colder, when the energy shifts from celebration to competition, you'll stop being surprised. You'll start being sovereign, because resentment isn't the enemy. It's the evidence. You're waking something in them they're too afraid to touch. But here's where it gets darker. Some people won't just resent your success. They'll try to destroy it in subtle ways, in smiling ways, in ways that feel like love. And if you're not prepared, you'll walk straight into the trap. We'll talk about that next. Not all attacks come with raised voices. The most dangerous ones come with soft smiles, casual words, just looking out for you. Sabotage doesn't always wear armor. Sometimes it wears friendship. When your light starts burning brighter, some people, often the closest ones, won't meet it with support. Instead, they'll dim it. Not through outright rejection, but through quiet erosion, death by 1,000 subtle cuts. Let's break down how it happens. You're so brave for trying that. Sounds sweet, right? But listen closely. That's not encouragement. That's expectation of failure, wrapped in a bow. This tactic is designed to make you question yourself. It plants a seed. Am I crazy for doing this? They pretend to lift you up, but the subtext is always, I wouldn't do it, and I don't think you'll succeed either. Other versions include, I could never put myself out there like that. You always go for the wild ideas. That's ambitious. They're not complimenting your courage, they're betting against you, politely. Pay attention to who claps when you win. At first you'll have fans, friends, supporters. But as you get closer to a real breakthrough, when the dream shifts from fantasy to inevitable, some people fall quiet. They ghost you. Not in anger, but in absence. They used to share your posts, now they scroll past. They used to check in, now they avoid updates. They used to say, you're going to make it. Now, nothing. This is strategic silence. It's meant to dull your momentum, to make you wonder if you're losing touch, getting too big, leaving them behind. Spoiler, you are, and they feel it. Are you sure you can handle this? That phrase sounds loving, but it's a wolf in empathy's clothing. This tactic is especially common among people who feel threatened by your evolution. They don't want to seem unsupportive, so they come at you sideways. Their doubts aren't direct, they're disguised as concern. Other examples? I just don't want to see you get hurt. I know someone who tried that and failed. What's your plan B? These are not questions, they're control mechanisms. They're trying to nudge you back into safety, not for your benefit, for theirs. Because the stronger you get, the less control they have. That friend who accidentally forgets to promote your business, they know exactly what they're doing. These are the people who always have a reason why they can't support you right now. They forgot to share your project. They didn't see your message. They're so proud of you, but somehow never show up when it matters. Don't be fooled. They remember to post about celebrities. They remember to binge Netflix. But your life-changing moment? It slips their mind. This isn't forgetfulness. It's passive sabotage. And it hurts more because it's done by those you thought were in your corner. What's the goal? Control. Not overt dominance, but emotional leverage. They want to keep you small enough to still belong. safe enough to still relate, doubtful enough to still need them, because if you stop needing their approval, they lose influence. And some people would rather watch you stall than watch you soar without them. Now, how do you protect yourself? You don't fight them with rage. You fight them with clarity. You stop mistaking closeness for loyalty. You recognize that silence is an answer, that doubt is feedback, that energy never lies. And most importantly, you stop explaining yourself, because anyone who truly wants you to win won't need a reason. Let's talk about the power of strategic indifference. They don't clap, they don't call, they don't care until you stop needing them, and that's when you win. Because the moment you stop craving their validation, the game changes. Their silence becomes irrelevant. Their doubts, just background noise. Their resentment, pure confirmation. You're moving in the right direction. That's the power of strategic indifference. Not apathy, but precision. Not emotional coldness, but clarity. It's the decision to rise unbothered. Every time you chase their approval, you hand them control. And most of them don't even know what they're clapping for. They cheer when you reflect their comfort, not your greatness. So when the applause stops, don't panic. That silence means you've crossed the line between belonging and becoming, between who you were and who you're meant to be. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That path is lonely, it's threatening, and it will always, always make people uncomfortable. But discomfort is data. If they start whispering, second-guessing, mocking behind your back, good. That means you're bending their reality. You're showing them what's possible and what they've refused to pursue. Their resentment is proof you're stepping into power they've spent years avoiding. Own that. Not everyone deserves access to your energy, let alone your reactions. Some people are addicted to control. They poke, prod, guilt, and worry about you just to trigger self-doubt. What they really want is a crack in your composure, a sign that they still have power over how you see yourself. Take that away. Adopt the grey rock method, a concept from psychology used to neutralize manipulators. It's simple. Become boring, unreadable, detached. They ask questions meant to provoke you. Respond with calm, flat clarity. They throw shade in disguise. Don't flinch. They just want to talk. Keep it surface level. No emotion, no justification. You don't owe anyone your energy. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them spiral in confusion, trying to figure out why they no longer affect you. Strategic indifference isn't cruel. It's self-preservation, and it sends a message. I've outgrown this level of interaction. Here's the alchemy. Resentment is a renewable resource if you know how to use it. When they question your pace, accelerate. When they disappear, build louder. When they try to humiliate you with whispers, make so much progress they're forced to explain you to others. Because the louder their whispers, the closer you are to breaking their reality. You're showing up in ways they never dared. Speaking truths they still deny. Living a life they swore wasn't possible. Let that fuel you, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. That fire inside you, it's sacred. Don't waste it trying to convince those who benefit from your hesitation. You don't need them to understand. You don't need them to approve. You just need them to watch. Because the greatest revenge, a life they can't explain. No drama, no emotional explosions, no "I'll show them" speeches, just excellence, just results, just peace so loud it drowns out their noise. Let them gossip, let them minimize, let them pretend not to see. Your job is simple. Keep building. Here's why. Strategic indifference works because it confuses them. They expect a reaction, a breakdown, a desperate plea for connection. When all they get is silence and momentum, they panic. You've removed their leverage. They no longer get to play God in your mind. Now they're left with their own reflection and no one to project onto. They may lash out, try to bait you, test you. Stay grey, stay focused. Your mission is bigger than their discomfort. But here's the catch. Strategic indifference only works when it's paired with internal clarity. You must know who you are, what you want, and why you're doing this. Because the moment you lose sight of that, you become reactive, fragile, vulnerable to their games again. So yes, protect your peace, guard your energy, use their resistance as fuel. But there's one thing you must never do. And if you break this rule, all your progress could collapse. Let's talk about that next. The rebirth. At some point, it all goes quiet. The phone stops ringing. The invites dry up. People who once called you family now call you arrogant, cold, different. And they're not wrong. You are different. You've crossed the threshold. You've stepped into a new chapter, one most people never reach. This is the rebirth. Not a glow-up, not a phase, a complete shedding of illusions, attachments, and the need to be understood. You've paid the price in discomfort, in solitude, in being judged by people who wouldn't last a day in your storm. But that pain, that isolation, that was the fire. And now you rise from it, unapologetically. Loneliness isn't punishment, it's the upgrade. They don't tell you this part. When you grow, you lose people. Not always in anger, sometimes just in silence. You evolve, and they don't recognize you. You speak, and they don't understand you. You win, and they feel smaller just standing beside you. So they leave. Or worse, they stay and resent you, and that hurts. But here's the brutal truth. Some people rooted for your mediocrity, not your mastery. They liked the version of you that doubted, that hesitated, that needed their approval to feel whole. You growing meant they had to grow too, and they weren't ready. So instead, they clung to comfort and watched you go. This loneliness you feel, it's not punishment, it's an upgrade. It's the universe clearing space, not for more fans, but for equals. People who see your vision and don't flinch. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to convince. You don't need to beg them to believe in you. Your results will do that. Think Kobe Bryant. Locked in, focused, ice in the veins. When asked why he wasn't celebrating during the finals, he said 4 words that echo in every mind forged in fire. Job's not finished. No need to talk, no need to posture, just relentless execution. Let them whisper, let them wonder, let them create their own stories about you. You're not here for their understanding, you're here for your becoming. Every time you show up without clapping for yourself, you grow stronger. Every time you win without needing them to notice, you become unstoppable. Silent success is the most lethal kind. Because by the time they realize who you've become, it's too late to catch you. Let's go deeper. They didn't want you to fail because they hated you. They wanted you to fail because they knew you could fly, and that terrified them. They saw it before you did. The intensity, the hunger, the spark you tried to hide to make others comfortable. They sensed your greatness, and it scared the hell out of them. So they laughed when you started, dismissed you when you persisted, turned cold when you gained momentum. Their resistance wasn't just sabotage, it was prophecy. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to break the mold. And now, every doubt, every dismissal, every "you've changed" becomes fuel. Not for revenge, for rebirth. This is dark empowerment, the kind that doesn't come from applause, but from pain, from being forged in rejection, from realizing that their hate was just proof of your untouchable potential. So let it empower you, let it remind you. If they're trying to drag you down, you're already above them. How many legends were hated before they were worshipped? Think about it. How many icons were doubted before they were celebrated? How many legends were ridiculed before they were revered? Jobs, Ali, Picasso, Beyoncé, Jordan, Tupac, Jung himself. They were all misunderstood before they were immortalized. And you? You're on that same path. They won't get it now. That's okay. You're not building for now. You're building for later, for legacy, for impact, for truth. Let them talk. You're busy becoming. This is your rite of passage. It hurts, it isolates, it burns, but it refines you. And when you come out the other side, you'll be untouchable, not because you fought harder, but because you stopped needing permission. You'll have clarity, purpose, inner calm that no one can shake. Because once you survive the silence, you realize you never needed their noise to begin with. So yes, mourn the people you lost. Grieve the version of you that needed them. Then bury it. Walk away from the ashes. Because you're not here to be liked. You're here to become legendary. And the path to legend is paved in misunderstanding. If you've made it this far, that says something. You're not just watching this. You're feeling it. Deep in your gut. That tug, that ache, that recognition. You've seen the fake smiles, felt the quiet exits, watched people shrink from your light instead of rising with you. And maybe, just maybe, you've started to question if you're the problem. You're not. You're evolving. And that threatens everything they've settled for. You're becoming what they gave up on. And that makes you dangerous. But here's the truth. You're not alone. There's an entire tribe of us, quietly building, breaking patterns, burning bridges that led nowhere, and walking paths no one in our family ever dared to take. So let's make it known. Comment, no limits, if you've felt this shift. If you've ever had to shrink to stay accepted. If you've walked away from comfort to step into clarity, let's see how many of us are breaking free. Let's flood this with proof that the silent ones, the misfits, the outliers, the misunderstood, are rising. We don't need permission. We don't need applause. We need each other and that subtle nod that says, I see you. And if this hit home, if it exposed something real in you, subscribe. Because this channel isn't about surface-level self-help. This is about awakening, ruthless clarity, shadow work, inner mastery, power reclaimed, not handed to you. In the video showing on the screen, we're diving into the mindset of the elite, why the smartest people choose to stay lonely. Not because they hate connection, but because they've learned to protect their energy like royalty guards a crown. You'll understand why solitude isn't a weakness, it's a weapon, and how the world's sharpest minds use it to dominate quietly, strategically, and unapologetically. You won't want to miss it. But before you go, let me leave you with this. Remember, if they don't clap when you win, they were never your audience. Let that sink in. You were never meant to perform for them. You were never meant to shrink for their comfort or beg for their cheers. You're not here to entertain. You're here to elevate. And true elevation, it's lonely, but it's also sacred, because when you stop living for their approval, you start living for your legacy. You stop explaining. You stop defending. You build. And one day, when the noise fades and the doubters go quiet, you'll look around and realize they never had to clap. They never had to get it. They were never supposed to, because your life isn't a performance. It's a declaration. So don't wait. Don't shrink. Don't play small to keep fragile egos intact. You are not here to be digestible. You are here to be undeniable. Comment, no limits. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's keep rising, quietly, ruthlessly, together.